Assalamu alaikum everyone. In this episode of Inspirational Muslims, Sabrina Ghaffar Siddiqui from the Saakoon Network will be interviewing Dr. Debbie Almontaser. Dr. Almontaser is an internationally recognized award-winning educator, entrepreneur, speaker, authority on cross-cultural understanding and author of Leading While Muslim. She was a featured speaker at the 2016 National Democratic Convention. Currently, she is the board president of the Muslim Community Network and sits on many boards of other organizations.
Assalamu alaikum, Debbie Almontaser. We are so honored and happy to have you with us today. Thank you for joining us to talk a little bit about your journey. My first question to you is, if you could maybe, like in a nutshell, describe the work that you're doing and how you got to where you are.
Well, first I want to say wa alaikum assalam, and thank you for actually having me a part of this series. I'm really delighted to have been identified as someone to actually participate in it. The question that you ask is, how did I get to this point or journey in my life and the work that I'm doing? A lot of it has to do simply with my own personal drive of always, as far back as I can remember myself, wanting to help people. I remember just being a little girl, always, helping my neighbors. And, there was an old lady that lived next door to us and she was by herself and nobody, used to come visit her, and I would go and check up on her, and I would go buy her groceries, milk and eggs and, whatever she needed, and just made myself accessible to her. And I think that's something that just continued with me as I became an adult and feeling this sense of social responsibility to help others. I think what has been also a big influence in my life is actually, knowing that it's a part of our faith to actually, to help others. And that it's a way to actually also help educate people about Islam, and that it's actually a part of who we are, that our faith speaks to us to be good and kind to other people, and so it's really informed a lot of what I do.
That's so beautiful that faith has inspired you in that way. But I'm curious, have you also experienced challenges on this journey?
Oh, absolutely. I had the biggest challenge of my life in 2007, and that challenge, in fact, was one that not just challenged me as an individual, but also even challenged me and tested my faith. I was actually the former and founding principal of the Khalil Gibran International Academy, the first Arabic dual language public school in New York City, and perhaps the United States. Once the school became announced, there were Islamophobes who did not want to see the school go forward. They attacked the school, and then eventually they started attacking me. And sadly, what ended up happening after 3 months of bombardment, the mayor of the city of New York and the chancellor forced me to resign from the school, all because of an orchestrated attack by Islamophobes. And so at that time, I couldn't help but, question, why is this happening? Why do people hate Muslims so much? Why is this happening to me? I've been good. I've been doing, I've been giving, why me? How did this happen? And so, those questions got me to a really dark part of my life of just trying to reconcile. And it was only after I saw other people who are not even Muslim who basically started to stand up and defend me, and defend my right to be the school leader. And it was at that point that I really, came to a point of saying, Allah, what is destined for me? I understand that you chose me. What is next? This happened. What am I supposed to do next? And I prayed really hard on that whole entire situation. And it became very clear for me that Allah, put me in that position because he wanted me to challenge the status quo. And he gave me the, inspiration, the motivation, and most importantly, the courage to stand up, because there were so many people who've experienced similar things, but never ever challenged an institution, or for that matter, the status quo. And so I went public with what actually happened to me, and I filed a lawsuit against the school system and the mayor. And everybody was like watching this unfold, and it was frightening, but my faith really gave me that courage to actually stand in front of hundreds of people and national media to tell my story. And it was very empowering, at the same time scary.
Being someone who's been a leader in the education system, I'm sure that you can appreciate how important role models are. And I can tell you that for me, you are a role model. I look at you and I feel that mashallah, this is a strong Muslim woman who I could look up to. But growing up, did you have role models, like Muslim role models you could look to?
Absolutely. I'm going to get emotional when I talk about this role model, because I just visited him this summer. He is actually a Yemeni American. His name is Muhammad al-Jahmi, and he actually has been in the United States for like over 70 years. And so when my family first migrated from Yemen to Buffalo, New York, he was the one that helped my mother understand the basic products to bake bread, how to, cook butter, all of those essential things that you need to know. But he also was one of the people that was very inspirational in my life, who really worked hard to teach me how to speak English, because I did not know English coming from Yemen. And he bought me a record player, and he bought me a couple of albums that I used to play and sing with them until I eventually learned how to speak English. And it was just really, really amazing. And he bought me a radio, he bought me books, he would sit and read to me, he would talk to me in both English and Arabic. And him doing that for me at that point was so critical in my life that it gave me hope to be able to see myself learning English and actually being successful. And so I've shared this story about him, and he didn't know that I've been sharing this story. But if it weren't for him being there and really believing in me, and providing me the books and the albums and just being there as a support for my family, I don't know what life would be like for me. I actually went to visit him this summer when I was in upstate Buffalo, New York, and my mother told me that he actually has Alzheimer's. And so I went to visit him. First, he didn't remember me. But then after we started having a conversation, he remembered me, he remembered my father. But it was just really, really emotional for me, because the state that he's in, like right now, he can't leave his house, otherwise he'd get lost. Somebody has to accompany him. It was just sad for me, but I'm forever grateful for what he did for me and for my family. And it's people like that who you don't necessarily think of them as, extraordinary, heroic people. You always find the most extraordinary and the most ordinary person. And that was him, Muhammad al-Jahmi, for me.
And perhaps, people like him, or that support system that you had, allowed you to achieve what you have. And I know you're, mashallah, successful in so many things, but what would you consider to be your greatest achievement?
I think that my greatest achievement probably, well, there are two. So the founding of the school from a seed idea to becoming an institution that will forever tell the history of the Arab peoples, their culture, their identity, It's a landmark. It's a landmark right now that is a part of the American mosaic. So I would say that is absolutely one of my most important legacies that I will leave behind. And then the other is the research that I've done. That was inspired by my own experience to see what other American Muslim school leaders who work in public education are experiencing. And this summer, I actually went to one of the states where a couple of them live, and I reconnected with them, and I gave them a book. And it's just so beautiful to see them and what they're doing and how inspirational they are. And these are unsung heroes. They are sacrificing. Being a principal is a 24/7 job. You are never off the hook. You are held to a higher standard than any other profession. And just to see, these three women in hijab and leading public schools is just so inspirational. And so, doing the research and then publishing it into a book to tell the story of these incredible heroes and sheroes, I feel is something that I hope that I will also be able to, have people remember me and say, wow, this is really amazing.
And in terms of your advocacy work, how can the people who love to hear you speak and see the work you're doing, how can they find you and reach you and be exposed to that work? Absolutely.
So I'm on social media. I'm on Twitter. I'm on Instagram. I'm on Facebook and LinkedIn. It's my name, Dr. Debbie Almontaser, Almontaser is the last name, and Debbie is Debbie. I'm fairly accessible. People can message me on any of the social media platforms, and I look forward to talking with people. And there's nothing more gratifying than to meet young people who have so many questions and just and want to explore. This past summer, the work that I do, a lot of it is interfaith relations work. We actually took Muslim students and Christian students from the U.S., and we also had a group of Muslim students and Christian students from England come together and have a cultural exchange program in England, in Cumbria, England, and where they got to learn about one another's faiths and develop a better understanding. And one of the most transformative things to see, high school students engaging in was them pushing themselves to learn more about their own faith tradition. But what was really powerful for me was to see them embrace it and be proud of it. And it's so hard right now for American Muslim youth or Muslim youth across the West to actually embrace their faith and live it proudly and loudly. And just seeing these young people be able to do that and feel that they are in a safe space is so important. And that's what I want young people to know, that they are safe in living who they are, and they just have to circle themselves with friends and family and people who genuinely care about all of us living in peace and harmony.
Such beautiful last words. Thank you so much, Debbie.
Thank you.
It's been a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed the interview. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell notification so you're alerted as we upload more inspirational Muslim videos.